Welcome to today's episode of the Bryan G Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Gutierrez. If you're enjoying the show and receiving value from our content, please hit the subscribe button so that you won't miss out on the next episode. Now let's check out today's show. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Bryan G Real Estate Podcast. My name is Brian Gutierrez, and today I have a very special guest, the one, the only, Dr. Paula Ruffin.
Thank you so much. I hope I'm the only one.
Oh, yeah, for
Right?
sure. So for today's podcast, we're going to be talking about mindset. And more specifically, we're going to be talking about what are the requirements for or to obtain a positive mindset. And, it's just kind of more than just waking up and being happy in the morning, right? As with everything else worthwhile in our lives, we actually do need to put some thought into this and really just kind of think about what it is that we need to do to help ourselves feel positive, right? And have a positive outlook throughout the day. So before we begin, though, I'd just like to have Paula, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Dr. Paula Ruffin, and I have been a practicing chiropractor and functional nutritionist for 25, going on 26 years.
Wow, nice.
And I can't even believe it. So I've been a part of Lyon Township over in New Hudson for just about that long. And it's really been amazing. I think one of the biggest things that I love and appreciate about that area is it's like a small town, big city feel. It's very community based. You know what a great great area we live in, and it's been incredible to be a part of that community and be able to get in and get connected. I'm on the Lyon Township DDA board. I run the promotions committee, so we're very, very active in the community. So it's been a really great ride to be a part of that, to help improve the health and wellness of the community from a chiropractic and nutrition perspective, as well as bring the community together. Because as you and I both know, that bringing communities together also creates health and wellness among our community. So yeah.
Sure, absolutely. And in the interest of full disclosure, that's how we met.
Yeah.
When you get in certain situations and you just you meet people and you just know that you're kindred spirits,
Yes.
right? And that happened just very naturally for us as we met doing those different community events and things. We'll talk a little bit about that later. And we just really made a really good connection, and we're like, we need to do stuff together.
Well, and if you remember, so I have a group on Facebook, and I was doing something every day. I was posting, and Bryan became a part of the group. It was a community group. And he said, "Hey, do you mind if I do these Mindset Mondays?" And I was like, I would love for somebody to take over one of these days. And so he came in and started doing Mindset Mondays in my group. And I was flattered. I was honored. I was relieved. But also, like Bryan said, we didn't meet till several months later. But the connection that you can make with somebody just over video, and you just get the vibe, and you're like, this is somebody I need to be connected to. So Bryan and I have definitely done some things together, and for the community. So I'm so glad you reached out.
Right. And thank you for mentioning Mindset Monday. So what that is that's on my Facebook page. And that's just a really short, every Monday I like to just have some kind of positive phrase, affirmation, something like that, and just kind of just riff on that for a few minutes and kind of share that with everybody to help people, start the week off right. And that has just taken off to the point where I kind of wanted to take this podcast so we can kind of deep dive more into it. I have people in Pennsylvania to look at Mindset Monday. We're in Michigan, and people in Puerto Rico.
Nice.
So it's really neat. So like everybody loved the Mindset Monday series there. And so I really am taking this opportunity where we can take more than just a minute and a half, right? Which is all you get on Facebook, right? I mean, we can do more, but who's going to listen past?
Hey, it's more than a goldfish, right? Goldfish is 3 seconds, and that's what most of us have from our focus standpoint.
My kids tease me about that. Yeah. Like, no wonder Dad's so happy, right? The happy goldfish. Right?
That's so funny. I know, constantly shifting. Yeah.
Yeah. So where would you like to start?
Well, I think I love this topic of what does it require to have a positive mindset, because if I could go back and tell a little bit of a story.
Okay.
many years ago when I was first in practice, relatively new, 2 to 3 years in practice. And I belonged to a business group, a coaching group, and it was specifically chiropractors. And I remember in this group, I was in there for probably 2 or 3 years. And I was telling a friend of mine today, I said, I can honestly say that no coaching group I've ever been a part of has actually done anything to build the revenue of my business. What it has done is connected me with people.
Okay.
It's connected me with certain things, including mindset and personal growth. So, can you put a price tag on that? I don't know, but I'd like to have some of the money back that I've spent on coaching. However, so way back when, and I was in this group, and that's when I started to learn about personal growth and positive mindset and
Okay.
positive affirmations and how important affirmations were, and keeping your mind in the game like that. Well, then I got to a point where it was almost exhausting because, like you said, you can't just wake up every morning and be happy.
Yeah,
We'd like to think we can, but we also need to deal with the reality of life.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
what I felt in that, and this is where I really want to impress upon people, is that we're not here to tell you you can't experience life. I don't want you to wallow in life. So what I felt from that was that I didn't have permission, that I wasn't being given permission
Hmm.
to, if there was something adversely going on in my life or I had a challenge, I wasn't being given the permission to process it properly, right?
Gotcha.
To shout and scream about it, or just bitch about whatever was going on, because I also feel that you've got to be able to you have to be able to dump it. And for me, it's like I have a 24-hour rule. If something's really got me, I have to dump it, whether it's, calling a friend and just yelling, screaming, just
Right.
all the, get all the negativity out,
No, that's true.
because then the next day I can wake up with clarity.
Right. And, I think one of the biggest causes why people have midlife crisis or people have that breakdown is because they just never dealt with their baggage.
Right.
Right. I mean, they just like suppress it to stay happy. Suppress
Right. No.
and that'll work for maybe 6 months.
Yeah.
But eventually it boils back to the top, right? And if you don't if you don't deal with that baggage, it will sneak up on you again.
Yeah.
And it'll be at the most inconvenient time, the most inconvenient place.
Yeah.
And
I mean, this is why we exercise, right? You want to go out, you want to get that anger out. You have to express what you are feeling in order to then be able to process what's going on to come up with a clear solution.
Correct. And it's also you see, how do I say this? You need to embrace your pain, right? And I'm
Yes.
not saying embrace it as in be miserable, but embrace it as in recognize it, right? And truly try to as objectively as possible, like analyze that. Why is it there? Why does it happen to me? And then start to think about, okay, now that I truly understand why I'm feeling this way, how can we change things? How can we work our way out of it? Right? Maybe it's something that cannot be worked out. It's always going to be around. So then how do we work with that? Right?
Yeah.
We can't always dismiss everything in our life that's unpleasant. So how do we learn to deal with that? Right?
Yeah.
You have to.
And I
Right.
think if I can also go back in time and tell another story. So I was 37 years old, which is really weird because I'm only 29 right now. So, so I had actually gotten pregnant unexpectedly. I didn't have plans to have children, but I would say God had another plan in my life, and so I was, and I was a single woman. I, did not marry this man. He's no longer a part of our lives, which is actually a huge blessing.
Okay.
So, so the point of that was, here I was at a point in my life when I did not know what the hell to do with that. That was a major life shift,
Oh, yeah.
completely unexpected. And,
Right.
people will get into situations like that, whether it's a job loss or a sudden divorce or dissolution of a relationship or business relationship or a love or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like I had the 24-hour rule, right? So I had to
Mhm.
figure out, how was I going to keep my practice afloat?
Sure.
How was I, because things really fizzled out when you're not prepared for a crisis, right? Holy shit, I'm not prepared for this crisis. So, so every day though, I still had to wake up. I knew that was there. I knew I had to deal with it,
Right.
but I still had to wake up and move forward. And I think that's, I think it's optimism and faith is really what drove that for me. So
Right.
yes, it was in the back of my mind at all times. How am I going to do this? My daughter's now 19, so I clearly survived it. But when you're given a major life event and you're just not sure how to figure it out, I think that one of the biggest things with mindset is just, you've got to walk in faith. You have to just walk knowing that the answer will open up. And I know you, because of mindset, we're big believers in
Mhm.
affirmations and things that inspire us. And so it's really just having that faith that the universe, God, whatever it is, whatever you believe in, is going to provide you the answer. So
Right.
it may not provide, like, you have to be open though,
Right.
right?
And I was just going to say, if I can,
Mm-hmm.
um, that's right. It's good to have faith in yourself, faith in your beliefs, but it also requires action.
For
You
sure.
can't just throw it up to something else or the universe,
And sit in a corner.
right? And be like,
Right.
okay, where's the solution?
Yeah.
You have to do something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And another thing, kind of going back to all this, is that it's you know it it's okay to not be in control all the time. I think that's where a lot of
It
people
is? What?
struggle with. Yeah.
No.
There you go. Show's done.
Yeah.
No, no, but it's so true. Like one of my biggest mind shifts was realizing that I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen next week. I don't know what's going to happen around the bend, and I've just kind of learned to embrace it in a sense that, in a way, that's part of what makes life exciting. If I knew what was going to happen every day of my life for the next 30 years of my life, well, that'd be kind of boring,
Boring for sure.
right? So
Yes.
it's one of those where it's like, um, people want to control something so greatly, or are so terrified of leaving their comfort zone because they don't know what to expect beyond it. That's a whole other show, right? But no, but you just have to learn to embrace that. And like you said, give yourself permission to be like, it's okay to not know,
Mm-hmm.
but let's hang in there, keep a clear head, stay focused, and let's try and work our way through it. And if you are, it's a very karma thing for me. If you're trying to do good, if you're trying to do the right things, if you are doing it, then those solutions will present themselves.
Yeah. And you have,
So,
and like I say too, you have to have an open mindset for it.
yeah.
So it's just saying, okay, I don't have the answers right now. The answers will find me. And listen, what's that saying? Success leaves clues. You
Hmm.
have to look for the clues all around you. And when you start to see these little things dropping into your life, again, if it's something that's challenging you,
Hmm. Hmm.
and you start looking for these clues and you go, oh, that happened, oh my god, and now suddenly you start to see that there's no coincidences that are dropping all around you. These
Yeah.
are things that are being put in your path in order to continue to get you to move forward. And like you say, you have to take action. You can't, I'll just, a little bit sharing again in the backstory, but my daughter's, I call him the partial DNA source, because, to say he was a, yeah, whatever. It's
Right.
like that's how much I think of him. But he had said to me, he called me when I was 3 months pregnant, and he said, I need to pray to God to be a father. And I said, good luck with that,
Hmm.
because that is not going to, the answer is not going to find you sitting in a corner
Right.
praying to some God that you like. I don't even know what you're saying right now, but bye, I have to go raise a kid.
Right. And see, and that's the thing where we talk about action. So it's okay to pray to God,
Mm.
but why not talk to the minister or something, right? Try and get some advice, right? Try to uh, you know uh, you know find some answer, right? Like in that case, he just threw it up there, but had no effort behind it.
Exactly.
right?
and the
Like, why not
saying,
talk to a counselor? Why not, join a group, talk to other dads,
right.
right? I mean, see, you got to have that
Mm-hmm.
with the other thing,
Yeah.
right? And if not to get too religious here, but if you think about it, all the great characters in the Bible, they had to do something, right?
Right.
They had
Yes.
to take positive action.
Yes. There's
Moses,
act as if.
oh yeah,
Act as if, like, just okay.
yeah, you had to,
If this is what you want, you have to act as if it's already happening in your life.
right?
Period. And that is mindset. I mean, again, like I don't know why this is we're like on this sort of religious slant, because I don't really ever I listen, my dad was an Orthodox priest. I very love God and faith and all of that, but I rarely talk about it in a public sphere. I feel like that's me, that's my personal thing, but
Sure,
it's coming up, so I feel like there's a
yeah,
purpose here for it to be here. So yeah, it's you have to act as if. So if you want something, then I mean, I don't know, I I really want a Bentley. Okay.
okay,
So I got I do these things I was explaining to you a little bit earlier, is I set reward goals for
mm-hmm,
myself.
mm-hmm.
And so one of my reward goals that I hit in the office was I would buy myself a $500 Yeti cooler, right? So
Okay,
I carry a cooler around with me everywhere. Some people are like, "You're crazy for spending that much money on a cooler." I'm like, "No, I literally have a cooler every day, somewhere in the summertime." Oh, and by the way, it's always filled with really healthy food. So I'm the one that people make fun of me for having the cooler, and
mm-hmm.
then go, "Oh, but by the way, can I have some of what you have
Yeah,
in there?" Right? Okay. Make fun of me until you need it. So anyway, so I named my cooler Bentley.
ah,
Okay.
nice,
So are we taking the Bentley? Don't wash the Bentley. Make sure. So it's like, so again, I'm acting as if, right? And then I
yeah.
got a golden retriever, and guess what his name is? Bentley. So come on, Bentley, come on, so,
Right.
so I am, I'm putting it all out there. That's my positive mindset there.
So, so one of the things I think about in helping to achieve um, the positive mindset is to find others to join you, right? And that's what kind of brings me
Accountability.
to, yeah, a couple things. One would be accountability for sure, and the other thing is also community, right? And this is that term's thrown out there a lot, right? It's one of those that I'm a community guy, right? But I'm kind of tired of hearing that word, right? Although I truly believe in it. But what I mean by this is, whether it's, it could be anywhere from a small group of friends or people in the community, right? But having others share your experience is extremely helpful, right? You don't need to go through this alone, right? Whatever your
Right.
situation is, right? So look for the helpers, right? Look for people who are true friends, right? Or internet friends, even professionals, right? Who will take the time to listen to you. And sometimes it's really all we need, right? We don't always need advice. I have a few people on speed dial. Boom, just listen,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
just unload it. They're like,
Dump it.
yeah, they're like, you feel better? Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Talk to you tomorrow. Boom, right? but yeah, definitely look for people who can help you with that. Like,
And that's a great point, because one of the things that I always tell people is pay attention to who you have around you,
mhm,
because you and I both know you can be in the right room of people who will support you to help elevate you from that place,
yes,
or you could have people around you who they want to hold you back, right? We talked about
yes,
anchors.
hmm,
But there are people who are like, no, no, no. If you get happy, that means I can't wallow in my misery with you anymore.
right,
So pay attention to the people around you. If you are in a room full of people and you're all wallowing in misery together, you need to get the heck out of that room, or else
right,
you're never going to be able to shift and change that mindset.
absolutely.
So
And that's what's also nice about getting around people who you don't know, or people in a situation that you're not always in. So for example, like volunteering is a great thing. One is yes, it's nice to help other people. Of course, it feels great, but it can also change your perspective on the world around you, right? Oftentimes we're in our bubble of, work and friends, and but to step out of that and to not only help others because it feels good, but then to also kind of learn from those experiences too, right? That helps broaden your perspective. Not only to learn more about the world around you that you may not be familiar with, but also to help you to help others. And in the course of doing that, very often from doing that for myself, that epiphany comes right back to me, right? Because I'm thinking these two things are completely unrelated. These two situations are completely unrelated. And as I'm working with others, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the voice you give to someone else is like, oh my, that applies to me.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it's been sitting there the whole time.
Yeah.
Right. But that's it. Or someone can just say a phrase, a word, a hug, right? I mean, just something that can just bring that back into you. And that's, and especially in these times where, everything is so with technology, right? I mean, if people hardly even sit down and talk one-on-one anymore like this, right? But to really have that
Not
in person,
virtually.
right? Human connection
Yes.
in person,
Yes.
right? It's magical. We've kind of, well, those of our age have fallen away from it. Younger people haven't even seen that yet.
Yeah. No, that's so true. Yeah.
Yeah. And they really don't know the potential of just being with somebody.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and my daughter so she graduated in 2022. So your kids too are COVID kids.
Mm-hmm.
And my kid she likes her virtual college classes. And I'm like, no, get into a classroom with people so you can touch and, touchy feely the information and the environment. And so it's like, I'm trying to have these gentle conversations with her because also
Mm-hmm.
she's at that age where it's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's what she sounds like too when but we need the human connection.
Yeah.
And so again, if you're feeling like you are spinning or you're just not sure, you don't have a solution, you must find somebody who has a positive mindset. Hey, you're always so positive, and how can you help me get past this?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the simplest things too, when you talk about and this is more of a virtual thing, yes, get into a room with somebody, but if you just can't, there are so many things like this show right here. Just
Mm-hmm.
listen to this, right? Or,
Right.
Go follow Bryan or me on, like, everything we do on social media is designed to lift people up.
Right.
Now, yeah, things go on in our lives. I'll get on and I'll do a video and just be real about what's going on. Now, I'm not going to take it down to a negative level, because I always want to be able to say, okay, what's going on in my life? And sometimes what happens when I turn that camera on, to what you're saying, it goes back to you. I
Mm-hmm.
turn the camera on to create content around something adverse that's happening to me to help me. But
Yeah.
I know in helping me, it's going to help you. So just so you know, like, if I get on there, I'm talking myself through it to the world, and revealing also that I'm human, that I don't want to sit here and say that everything I do on social media is perfect.
Right. And there's something special about saying things out loud. How many times have you had a problem you've been totally stumped on, and then you call somebody, say a colleague, right? Hey, I got this issue, I got this problem, this is happening and this is happening, which led to this, now the situation with this, and oh, as I'm saying this out loud, I get it.
Yeah,
Right?
talking it through for
Yeah.
sure.
And that's where having the conversations are so important, because just saying it out loud, we can think things all day,
Yeah.
right? We think
Yeah.
our internal monologue's the same, but it really isn't.
And that's where journaling is so helpful too.
Yeah.
Where, even at night, and I've had this conversation multiple times, where I think when you look at journaling and goal setting, I think there's a lot of people out there who make that so complex that other people are like, oh my God, I'm not even going to do it because I'm going to do it wrong. You can't journal wrong. You can't set
Right.
your goals wrong.
Yep.
Even if you just took a piece of paper and wrote down I want a Bentley. I want to make $1 million, whatever. Just write it down. Just get it in writing so you can see it. One of the things that I do when I journal at night, and I don't do it I'm guilty. I have a hard time with it, doing it every single night. I do it for stretches, then I forget for a few days, but I always say 3 steps forward, 1 step back is still a net positive forward motion.
That's right.
So continue to move forward. But, when I journal at night, I'll do things like, okay, just what are 3 great things that happened to me today? So I write that down. If something negative happened or challenging, I might write that down and then say, and this is how I'm going to handle it. And so I could write that thing down and then be able to figure out how I'm going to handle it the next day. The beauty of doing that is we get from a mindset perspective, we can get into a place of lack of not thinking that we've done enough, not thinking that we've accomplished enough, thinking that we're being unproductive. So I take that journal and those moments that I'm feeling that, and I go back and I start to read it and I go, oh my God, I forgot I did that. I forgot I connected with that person. I forgot I did this.
That's right.
And you have to remind yourselves, because we're in such a busy world, you have to keep reminding yourself of how amazing you are. And so journaling is one of those great things that allows you to look back and remind yourself of all the amazing things that you're doing when you're feeling like life has you down.
Yeah. And how far you've come.
Yes.
Right? Like, yeah, it's like, oh, I did make this. Like you're saying, I did make progress.
Right.
This is better than it was 2 months ago or a year ago.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's super important. And to be able to write down those thoughts, like for me, I am the goldfish. I will
right.
I will lose it in 3 seconds. I have to write everything down. I live by die by my calendar, all of it. And so I do the same thing. I have to jot it down.
Yes.
Because it'll come and go so quickly. And then I'm kind of left with, I'm feeling this way, but I don't remember how I got here. Right. And then you're kind of like, which is even more stressful.
Right.
Right. It's like,
and now what do I do with it?
I'm stressed because I can't remember why I'm stressed.
Oh man, that's the worst.
No, right?
That's when a glass of wine makes an appearance.
Yeah. Bourbon for me.
Right, there you go.
You're listening to the Bryan G Real Estate Podcast. If you'd like to learn more about me, check out my YouTube channel, Bryan Gutierrez Keller Williams Real Estate, or go to my Facebook page, Bryan Gutierrez Keller Williams. And if you want to hear more of this podcast, please subscribe. Now back to the show.
That's right. Well, one of the things we were talking about. So every Monday I do a segment called Reset Monday on my YouTube channel, and I think you've been in Reset Monday. And Reset Monday is this. It's kind of like, it's much like your Mindset Mondays. It's an opportunity for people to reset the things that that you're looking for, right? So you set a goal, you set a resolution. Reset Monday was born out of, I got tired of hearing people set resolutions and then failing. So, 23% forget about it after the first week. And then like some 90% in 4 weeks completely fail. It's gone to the wayside. So I started Reset Monday as a way to say, no. Again, 3 steps forward, 1 step back, still net positive motion. So how do I help keep people on track? Every Monday I go live and we talk about that. So one of the things we just recently talked about, which we talked about words. And so words are a way. So Bryan and I were also talking about anchors, things that you can anchor to that will remind you of what you want to do and accomplish and how, how to set your life up. So for me, when I start my fourth quarter planning for the next year, I don't just go, oh, these are a bunch of positive words and I want this word to be my word for next year. I allow my planning to then the words start coming into my brain. What's really resonating with me. So you take your sticky notes or you take a Sharpie and you write it on your bathroom wall. You take your sticky notes and you put them around your computer screen. You put them on the dashboard in your car. You write whatever words down that are going to inspire you, motivate you, keep you on track. And you just surround yourself with them. Right. So, even if you're watching something negative on TV, like the news, which you shouldn't do.
Right.
And then you get up to go to the bathroom. Now you're surrounding yourself with these positive messages. So because we're human and goldfish, I love like just those simple little tools, right? How can you stay
Right.
on track on a daily basis?
Right. Absolutely. And like you mentioned, there's positive anchors. There's also negative anchors too.
Yes.
And one thing that I've learned is that don't set goals that are too far out for you, right? And everyone does this at the beginning of a new year, right? Oh, it's not like I'm going to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to lose 50
Right.
pounds, right? It's
I'm
going
going
to,
to make a
whatever it is.
cajillion dollars this year.
Yeah, I'm going
Yeah.
to increase my business by 35%.
Yeah.
Well, go for 10. If you hit
Right.
it, keep going,
Yeah.
right? But, but you need to get in the habit of, you know, for whatever, first of all, set a reasonable goal. And that's the easy part. The hard part is doing the little things every single day that get you one step closer to achieving that goal, right? That's the challenge. We can all sit here and analyze whether it's our business or our personal selves and say, here's where I need to be. Easy, right? But it's just doing those little things every single day. It doesn't need to be a monumental jump every day, right? You just keep plugging away at it, get a little bit closer, one step at a time. And like you said, 3 forward, 1 back, 3 forward, 1 back. You're still 4 steps ahead,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of where you were.
Yeah.
And that's really what is the challenge, which it seems oversimplified, but it's really not.
No. And that's where it's an evidence journal, basically. That's where that comes in. That's where that's so important. So then you can go look back at all the things, but also, and I think this is a timely segue into, as business owners, as entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
you must track your metrics. You
Yes.
must keep statistics. And I have so many friends, chiropractor friends of mine, who do not track their numbers. And I don't know if that's the way in other industries. Actually, I know for a fact, my who I buy my dog food from, he's like, I don't want to track my stats because I don't want to know what they look like. And I'm like, what? But there's nothing more evident than your stats. So
I'm telling you, in real estate, it's probably worse. There's so many agents that just don't track anything, right? When someone asks me like, what do I do for a living? The first thing I say is, I'm a small business owner, comma, I sell real estate, right? And you have to treat your business like a business. And you're right. Now, I won't say that every November when I'm starting to plan for the next year and we're crunching all the yearly numbers and I'm looking at my expense report. I'm not saying I don't cringe. Like, oh, hundreds of dollars for this and $1,000 for that, like whatever. But you have to know it, right? You
can't cringe if you don't know it, though, Bryan.
Right, exactly. And I mean, it seems painfully obvious, but no, but it's really true, because then you can say, okay, so I've gone through that, had a drink to get through it.
Right.
But then you can be like, okay, so now what worked and what didn't?
Yes.
Right. And that can be harder than it seems, because there was a couple systems that I had in place that I thought was the bomb. It was it, and they flopped.
Right.
And it's hard to look at that and be like,
oh yeah,
I was wrong. I was way off. Right. Luckily, there were other things going on that made up for it.
Yes.
But yeah, but that's how you streamline. That's how you progress.
Yeah.
You have to know your numbers. You have to know what has worked and what hasn't for you. And that applies definitely to business, but also personally too, right?
Mm-hmm.
You kind of personal stock, right?
Yeah.
What has worked for me? What hasn't, right? What relationships have worked for me? What hasn't? One of the big things that I do, I mean, I'm 53, right? And I just, there's certain people that come and go in your life. And every once in a while, if there's someone who's just, not giving to me as much as I have given to them, I'm going to rethink that relationship. Right.
100%.
Just because, one, for my own happiness, right. And how to avoid that kind of frustration. Because there's nothing worse when you are the giver and someone doesn't give back to you. Right.
I think that's such a great point, because as optimistic, positive people, and we're also realistic in the sense that, we're just pulling back the curtain and telling you we have challenging I prefer to say challenging versus, people are like, you ever have a bad day? And I'll say, I have varying shades of good, right? It's like
Right.
some days are better than others. Some days are more challenging than others. But because of the optimism that I have and the belief that the answers will find me, I continue to move forward. That's the first part. But also, you have to recognize, going back to what I was saying earlier, is that if people are trying to steal your joy, suck your happiness,
Hmm.
those are not your people. They're not
Right.
your people. And that's not the room that we want to be in. And I've had to, um, dissolve friendships, business relationships, because it wasn't serving me. And I think it's okay. I literally have called people and said, this isn't working for me anymore,
Right.
because you being positive and having a positive mindset does not mean you get to compromise yourself.
Right.
It's okay to have those hard conversations. And I think I also like, thinking of going into this year, is this is like one of my core things that I've had to extract out of myself,
Hmm.
because I was realizing that I was being taken advantage of. I was allowing myself to be, I don't know if pushed around is the right word, but things were happening, and so I don't expect people to be jerks to me. That's
Right.
first and foremost, right? I believe that the world generally around me is very happy, and that I create that around me. But then when somebody comes in and like, they fire a shot, it takes me so much by surprise that I retract. I
Mm.
become passive aggressive. I'm like, what just happened? And then like later that day or 2 days later, I'm like, like, and I get mad, but then I
Yeah.
don't go and confront the person. So I've done a lot of that in the last several months,
Okay.
where I'm like having these hard conversations with people and just saying, this isn't working for me. And this is what happened. And I'm not that person.
Right.
So either if you want to come to the table as this XYZ, whatever the conversation is, that's great.
Hmm.
But this is where I stand. So I'm drawing a hard line in the sand to protect myself, protect my happiness, my optimism. I will give it away to anyone and everyone,
Right.
but you cannot steal it from me.
Good point. That's very well said. And there is one exception to others not contributing, and that's if it's something temporary.
Sure.
So my so my mom this last year was diagnosed with breast cancer. Just let everyone know she's okay. Everything turned out fine.
Good.
But there were 6 months where I was leaning more on my friends than they were leaning on me. Right. That was a temporary situation. Right.
Hmm.
So it's okay if someone's going through a hard time and they need your help, and you do need to give more to them to get them through a situation. That's okay, because that's what friends are.
Yes.
Right. We need
Yeah.
to be there. We're not fair weather friends. Right. You got to be
Yeah.
there through the good and the bad. But I also know that those friends, when they know that when I got through that difficult time, I'm going to be there for them when they have theirs.
Yeah.
Right.
I've always said the best friendships are, and to me, the best way a friendship works, the deepest friendships are those that you're either reaching a hand up or you're reaching a hand down. And some days your friends need you to reach down and lift them up,
Hmm.
and some days you need to reach your hand up and you need somebody to grab your hand and help lift you.
Good way to put it. Very
And
nice.
I went through the same thing. I had a, dissolution of a relationship after 10 and a half years. Right. So that was very difficult on me. It was, and I flat out was telling my friends, I am not going to be the friend that you know. I cannot be the friend that you know. It was everything I could do to go get up, go to the office, take care of my clients, and I took care of them at the highest and best, gave them everything, but I was exhausted at the end of the day. I'd go home and I'd go to bed. I
Hmm.
had nothing left in reserve to give to my friends, and my friends knew that. But they knew who I was. Same thing with you, right? So
Right.
we are going to go through hard times in life, and your friends are there to help lift you when you need it, and you're going to be there to help lift them. And I think that's the best friendship you can ever have in your life.
Right. And that's where experiencing pain and discomfort helps you appreciate the joy.
Yeah.
That's where having friends who help you through the pain and discomfort and help you reach the joy, right? See, that's how we appreciate it. That's why we're not saying just suppress all your negative feelings,
Right.
because you'll just be numb.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and what do we learn from that? We have to, we're going to go through this. First of all, as humans, we were born for hard. We have to recognize that first and foremost, right?
That's true.
We weren't meant to be on this earth to be easy, right? So
Right.
we were born for hard. And so we have to expect that hard times are going to find us. And it's a matter of how are we going to get through it? And, like you said, it's we have to be able to move through that, continue to find our joy and find something good in each and every day as we go forward. And what will we learn in the process? We all come out stronger in the end. And when you're younger, it's harder to recognize that. But at, as Bryan and I, the ripe old age of 29, we recognize we've been through some stuff,
yeah.
right? Yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't. Yeah. Oh, you look really good. Yeah. But yeah, so we recognize that we've been through some mud, and so we recognize what are we going to learn beyond that.
Right. And as you gain more experience in life in general, that helps you achieve understanding. Mm. And that's whenever I'm confronted with any kind of negative situation, whether it's a person or just a situation, whatever that is, I always seek to understand. Even if I'm super annoyed, even if I'm super mad, have a drink, take a breath.
It happens. It happens.
How is this? And that's a very important exercise. So if someone has wronged me, the first thing I do is like, okay, I'm feeling this vibe, or I need a minute. I'll take that minute, right, to kind of regroup. But then I will try to, as much as I can, I'm not the other person, but I try to put yourself into their shoes, into their perspective. Okay, why did this come to me this way? Is there some kind of, how are they justifying this behavior? And a lot of times, if you really kind of sit back and before asking the question, how do I deal with something, you ask, why is it here? I start with the why as much as I can. We don't always have all the information, but sometimes if you just try to seek understanding where someone else is coming from, their perspective, and go, okay, I still think they're wrong in how they're perceiving this, but now I understand how they got there. And now what I need to do is go back to that person and explain things in such a way that, okay, I get how you got this impression, but it's incorrect. And, let me share that with you so that we can kind of bring some resolution to this.
Yeah. That's, there's a say, I don't know if it's a saying or a concept, that when you get triggered by something, it's triggering something within you, meaning you and I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but if you say something to me and it triggers me, it could very well be something in me that I have the same behavior, but somehow you're subconscious of it. So it's just like weird, sort of like the look in the mirror,
or a little like kind of hidden insecurity that hasn't shown itself for 5 years.
So let me get that out. And I love what you said about, you'll go back with a different mindset and try to think about it. And I've done that with people. If I feel triggered by something, I first of all, okay, what is triggering me? What was it about that? Was it a misunderstanding? Do I think this person is like an a-hole? I don't know. Right. I mean,
right.
And sometimes
some people are.
So I always give people the benefit of the doubt. That's been a mantra of mine, or philosophy of mine for many years. I'm like,
yeah, me too. Yep.
No, everybody gets one benefit of the doubt. We can all have a bad day, and we can all snip or say something and, offend somebody and not even know it. So then the next time I see that person, or I may deliberately call that person and just have a conversation, so I always give them another opportunity. And then I might give them even one more. And if they are still coming with the same behavior over a certain period of time, then I'm like, these are not my people. I do not need to give this person any more of my time, my attention, and my energy. Now, I may get into a social situation with that person, and it's going to be fine and it's going to be cordial, but but we're not doing this together. Right. Yeah. Or, we're not going out and breaking bread. Like I have my limits on that. Right. And that's the thing. It's like
Yeah.
just protecting your space, protecting your bubble, and protecting your mindset.
Right. And what's, what's important to remember is to, um, don't create such a tight boundary that now you're isolated or secluded, right? Like, because now I can be like, all right, I'm paring down these people in my life, I'm narrowing it down and cleaning it up, trimming the fat, whatever you want to call it.
You're out. You're out.
Yeah. Now you're just left with you, the island. No human being is an island.
Right.
Right. And so you got to be careful, right? It's good to create a positive environment around you, but this is where, working with others and kind of getting out there, kind of getting back to the community, getting out there really helps, because you're helping other people solve problems and you're learning their perspective on things, right? Whether it's like, some kind of charity where people are in need, it gives you greater perspective on people in need, right? If it's some kind of support group, obviously you're going to get a really good perspective on whatever that issue is, right? And kind of learn, glean from that what other people are going through. And and like I said, benefit of the doubt, because we're very similar in that regard. Because like I said, when I was going through that with my mom, obviously I wasn't in the best mood, and I wasn't the happy chipper guy that I was, and I know a couple people noticed that. Not that I carry that so much on my sleeve, but it's one of those where, like, you never know what someone may be struggling with that you don't know about. So to too quickly pass judgment on that, right? We need to be careful of that, right? So yes, we want to create a situation that's good and positive around us, but we also don't want to isolate or insulate ourselves from the world around us, because then we will lose perspective,
right?
Well, and then we'll be one of those people who kind of be recluse, and never one of the crazy people that people are trimming out of their lives.
Living in a cave, exactly. No, don't cast me out. Well, when I think when you're somebody like yourself, right? So you have an authentic presence, that you are always the steady, happy-go-lucky guy. It's genuine, it's authentic. It feels good to be around you. You're somebody that, for me, I mean, it's, and I mean, for real, like, if you're watching this, if there's comments somewhere, I think everybody would agree with me that, being in your orbit, and again, just meeting you virtually, it was like, I was super attracted to, right? Like in a, he's married. It's not like that. Energetically, right?
In a Zoom kind of way.
Right, exactly.
Which is not allowed fabulous.
Right, yeah. So I think when you...
We're not editing that out. That's
that's going to stay for sure, yeah.
But, well, first of all, thank you for the compliment.
You're all red too, so am I think, yeah.
And you made a Mexican flush.
Right.
So, but...
you match the salsa.
That's right. And if this were HD fails.
That's right, I know.
But no, but first of all, thank you for that.
Yeah.
But you know what? How I got there was I wasn't always that way. I'm not saying that my experience is any greater than anyone else's, but I have been the person who put themselves in self-imposed seclusion. I have been that insecure person, right? I have been socially uncomfortable before, right? And so back when I was young, therapy wasn't a thing, right? You were crazy if you went to a therapist, right? 40 years ago. Now it's a great thing.
Now you're crazy if you don't have a therapist. Right.
Yeah. and if your therapist doesn't have a therapist, they're crazy.
Yeah.
So how that turned.
That was good.
But kind of getting around to that point is that the reason why I am such a positive person is because I've been in the valley, right? And again, kind of getting back to that appreciation, I've been there with no friends. I've been there where I've been completely down on myself. I have been there. I spent a good decade where I was just not in a good place. And quite honestly, I just got righteously pissed. And I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of feeling this way.
Right.
I don't know how I'm getting out of it, right? But I'm getting out of it. And I just just forced myself to look for the good, right? And like we said, not in a naive way, but look for the good, go for it, head towards it, right? Don't mock the people who are happy all the time, like, oh, they don't have any problems, they'll go happy, you know what I mean? Instead of being resentful,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm just like embraced it, and that's why I am the way now. And then that's why I also give people the benefit of the doubt, because they're probably in the spot I was
Yeah.
during that decade.
Yeah. And
right?
if you can help lift people up, and that's such a great story. And I wasn't where you were, but I was somebody who I had a short fuse, right? I could get triggered so easily. It doesn't mean I still don't get triggered by things, but a very short fuse. I would, and a lot of it was like my family. I started to realize I wasn't nice to my family. And I was like, ooh, and I started to recognize like, that doesn't feel good to me. Like, I know I just made somebody else feel really badly over some simple thing that they asked me, and it didn't feel good to me.
Right.
That's how I in turn then was like, meh. And so that was my epiphany. And I remember for years I would walk around every day just saying, just be nice, just be nice, just be nice. And I would get into a room with certain family members and I would say in my head, just be nice, just be nice. And it worked, right? I mean,
Yeah.
talk about like a positive affirmation. Just be nice. Like, just be nice.
And
It's
you know
okay.
what? There's this weird, it must be a human thing. It's between family and friends, right? There's two groups of people. Friends, you can have a friend who wrongs you.
Oh,
Have it out. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but you can just have knockdown, drag out, like falling out. And then a couple weeks later or a month, you're like, hey,
what's up?
all right, let's go to dinner.
That's a guy
That's
thing.
kinda,
I'm just
right?
going to tell you, that's a
But-
guy thing.
but with family, people just can't let go of family.
Oh,
Like what?
right.
What is that?
Right.
Like, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've heard and how many times I felt like, oh, my brother-in-law did that 10 years ago.
Right.
And I'm like, why am I
Let
a
it
decade
go.
late? Right. I mean, seriously, but what is that? I mean,
Right.
you got to be really conscious about that with family.
Yeah.
Family stuff just embeds.
It's amazing.
I don't know
it's
how that
etched in the
works.
DNA. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think and that came up a lot during the holidays with friends of mine, with my patients, and people are like, oh, I got to go be with my family. And I mean, everybody's got the crazy uncle, the crazy aunt, or that negative, you'd wronged me 10 years ago. And I have a friend who, was going to visit her father-in-law, and there's all this drama around that. And I said, why are you going with such high expectations of how this 75-year-old man should act? Like drop the expectations, right?
Right.
Just go in, just enjoy the moment, have a conversation. But I think we get into trouble because we go in with such high expectations of how that other person should act when we can't control anything about them.
Great point.
And all we can do is control our own behaviors, control our own actions. And so again, and your positive, happy-go-lucky mindset might piss a few people off. But
all the time. All the time. Sorry.
Right?
Sorry, not sorry.
I know, right? Hi, everybody. Hi.
No, but you're right. But having the right expectation, that's a really great point. If you're dealing with people who are 70 plus years old, are you really changing their mind?
They are not changing.
Are you changing their personality? Right.
No.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Like it just is.
Listen, I'm 56 and I'm 57. I don't even know how old I am. Yeah.
29?
Not much. 28, 29. Yeah. And not much about me is going to be changing anytime soon,
but seriously, and this sounds really corny, but this actually is an internal monologue I had when I was going through those, that time of insecurity and self-imposed seclusion kind of a thing, where I was thinking, I'm like, part of what scared me was like knowing that we all eventually get set in our ways, right? And that kind of frightened me. I'm like, well, I'm miserable now. Like, I don't want this to cement in my brain, and I'm like this the rest of my life. Being younger, kind of maybe a naive thought, but that kind of, had put that fear in me there, and so just very anecdotally, like I said, with no real reason behind it, I'm like, you know what? If every single human being gets set in their ways as they get older, then I'm just going to set my mind to be open, receptive, and positive. And that way, when I finally get to be 70 years old, I'm set in those ways.
Yeah.
Right? And not in all the negative stuff. And I clung to that.
Well, and
I don't know if it'll work. I think it's working so far.
I don't know any optimistic, happy people who regress. Right? I mean, I think once we take this path, because also, there's so much evidence, scientific evidence that shows that positive emotions, positive thoughts, positive feelings, that sets your neurology. It sends a whole different signaling to your cellular system. It's good for your health. If you are somebody who is constantly negative and complaining and nothing good is around you, you are sending signals into your neurology and your cells that create illness and sickness. And so you can make that choice. And I think that what happens when people take the path of positive attitudes, that they just start to feel so much better. It's such a much better feeling. So let's stay there.
Yeah. And it really, like to me, I think of it as, because I like to simplify things. I'm a simple guy. Yeah. Is like your body's listening to your thoughts.
100%.
Right?
Right.
And so when you're sort of out with others, we all attract people who are kind of like us, right? Someone who feels comfortable with us, or people are probably similar to us, right? And so if you have this real negativity kind of brewing inside of you, that's going to show in your body language. It's going to in your actual language, the words you choose, the expression on your face, right? It's going to show, and that's going to attract what? More negativity, right? Because people are naturally going to be attracted to people who are of a similar vibe.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's, your body is listening to your thoughts. That's a really good point that you made.
You attract what you think, right?
Sure. Absolutely. So
I just want to go back a second, and I know you're watching the clock, but I want to bring this, I want to bring this point home. I want to bring this point home for us, is that, when, going back to my major compliment, very genuine compliment of you, is that, so when you were going through that with your mom, and people saw that, so people's behaviors don't, when you're somebody's consistent like that, people's behaviors don't just shift for no reason. So
good point.
Right?
Yes.
So this thing was going on. You have attracted, you've created a beautiful tribe around you, an incredibly supportive social system, family system. Now this thing happens to you, and people go, oh, you're the guy always out helping people, which then means when people see you in crisis, they are willing to step up for you. And that's the beauty of creating.
They did.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of creating this incredible life of happiness and positivity and helping and philanthropy and community. People are like, wait, we can't let him falter. We got to be here to pick him up. So, and I said that too, when I was going through that breakup period. It was crazy for me. And I was still like on social media and doing my videos and doing my stuff, and not thinking that I was putting, and I didn't talk about any of it. Right. This is probably the most I've talked about it in a year and a half, as far as that situation. But I had people DMing me, perfect strangers DMing me on social media saying, "Are you okay? We've been following you for however long." And I'm like, why? What? Well, you just don't quite seem to be yourself. Now I thought I was giving the message that I always did, but perfect strangers see it. And people were messaging me, what can I do? How can I help? So when you put this positive message, this authenticity out into the world, into the universe, you will attract people you don't even know to stand by your side and champion your healing. Right. So, so I just wanted to bring that point home, because you can't just be who you are and then suddenly have a bad moment and then go, oh, he's a jerk,
Right. Yeah, give people a chance, will you?
Right, right. So anyway, and I'm glad your mom is doing better, by the
Well,
way.
thank you.
So,
Yeah, everything did turn out. It was the best possible outcome that we could have asked for. She has a clean bill of health.
good.
So thank goodness. Very grateful for that.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you so much for coming out
This
here
is great
today.
as always.
Do me a favor, would you just kind of talk about just a little bit more, in our parting words here, just a little bit more about you again and what you do.
So if your audience wants to find me, they can go to my website. It's drruffin.com, drruffin.com. All of my socials are on there. And one of the things with chiropractic care and functional nutrition is I firmly believe that health is a birthright. And my goal is to get people to get out of their own way, stop doing the things that are causing damage, that are taking them down a poor quality of life, a path of poor quality of life. I want to help people get to the root cause. So I do that again through changing their neurology, changing their eating habits, changing their lifestyle. If you are somebody who comes to me and says, I want your help, but I'm not willing to give up Big Macs, I'm not your girl.
Right.
This isn't a, I was gonna say get rich quick, but let's just say weight loss, right? It's not, you're not going to go lose weight. I'm not going to get you to lose 20 pounds in a week. I'm going to change your freaking lifestyle.
Good.
And the overall part of that is that I am here to help people create a legacy of health for their children. You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have another day to live, then none of that money is going to save you. So you need to leave your children with that legacy of health, wellness, exercise, movement, positive mindset, because that is what's going to help carry the next generation. So that's
excellent. Well, great. Well, once again, thanks for coming on. If you guys want to learn a little bit more about me, you can go to my YouTube channel, Bryan Gutierrez, Keller Williams Real Estate. Also, my Facebook page, Bryan Gutierrez, Keller Williams, and you can look me up there. And of course, feel free to message or contact either one of us if you ever have any questions about what Paula does or what I do, or just hey, if you just need someone to say hi.
Yeah, and I will say too that we do if somebody wants to know more about chiropractic and what it really does is I have a show every Thursday at 1:00. It's live on YouTube called Chiropractic is Sexy. So
great.
Just trying to educate the world on what it means to be healthier. So
excellent. And of course, all of the links to get in touch with Paula will be posted here with this podcast too, also on YouTube. Wherever we put this video or this audio, Paula's information will be there too. So anyway, thank you so much for coming in. It's been a lot of fun. So
awesome.
We'll definitely do this again.
Yes, please.
All right. Well, thank you so much, guys. Take care.
See ya.